Welcome back, everybody. This here is the Night Breeze, and this is part 12 of the Advanced Dungeons & Dragons lessons. Today we're going to be discussing the Mage, or the Magic User. Now, a very popular class among D&D players, you know, because they have everybody's favorite tool, Fireball. So, we'll get on in this. Now, to start off, it's absolutely essential for a mage to have high intelligence, um, especially if they're going to have a broad selection of spells. A mage has to have a minimum of 9 and a minimum dexterity of 6. Now, then, the higher intelligences allow you to have more spells in your spell book, and higher level spells have a minimum intelligence you need to cast them. And then you also, if you have an intelligence of 16 or higher, get a 10% bonus to your XP. Um, while they do have mighty spells for all types of situations, offense, defense, information gathering, whatever, they are pretty weak in combat. They have 1d4 hit points per level. So at first level, the max hit points is going to be 16. That's with a high constitution, or sorry, 6, not 16. It's going to be 6 because even with a high constitution, the most you'll get is plus 2 hit points per level, and then a 4-sided dice. And they also get the least favorable combat progression. You're going to not be going toe to toe, let's put it that way. At least, not normally. They can wear no armor, and they only have a few weapons they could use. Mainly, your staves, daggers, darts, pretty simple weapons. Now, magic users can be any alignment. Now, when you start off, usually you'll have a spell book. It's going to have just a few spells in it, first level spells. And if your DM allows them, maybe some cantrips, which can be very useful. And you have to, study the spell book to memorize your spells. So, and then after you cast it, you're going to have to rememorize it. Now, they do have to be able to be spoken or read aloud. And I'll get into the spells a little bit. Now, there's some very powerful items of magic that only mages can use. They can use most magic scrolls, wands, staves, many of the miscellaneous items of magic. And, there are some staves that just, like the Staff of Power and the Staff of the Magi, that are extremely powerful weapons. And at high levels, the power of the mage is unbelievable. It's just surviving to reach those high levels. Once a mage reaches 11th level, they can start to enchant items or scribe magic scrolls. Now, it takes a long period of time, weeks, sometimes months of game time, and can be quite expensive. The DM is encouraged to keep a careful record of the time spent. So you're going to basically pull yourself out of any adventures for a while. So it's not going to be usual for you to, for the player character mages to be creating a bunch of magic items. But it can take place, and there is rules in the Dungeon Master's Guide on how to do it. At 12th level, it's possible for a mage to create a stronghold. If they clear the countryside in a 10 to 20 mile radius of all monsters, they can receive revenue of 5 silver pieces per inhabitant per month. Okay. So, give you an idea. At first level, you have one first level spell. If you make it all the way up to level 29, you have 7 first level, second level, third level, and fourth level spells, and 6 fifth level, 6th level, 7th level, 8th level, and 9th level spells that you can cast. And depending on your DM, there may be more bonuses and everything as you get up in certain levels, but that's kind of a home brew and pulling in from other source books. Now, as for the magic here, just going with the first edition Player's Handbook spells here, there's some, it doesn't list any of the cantrips in the handbook. But there's quite a few listed in the Unearthed Arcana and some other source books. But some of the spells you can get, even at first level here, affect normal fire. You can cause small fires, anywhere ranging from a torch or lantern up to a normal-sized bonfire of about 3 foot diameter, to reduce in size and light to become like a match, or increase in light so it's become as bright as a light spell. By reducing the fire, you can cut the fuel consumption to half normal, and increasing it will double the fuel consumption. The heat output is not altered in neither case. So you could reduce a bonfire down to a match, but you would still be getting all that heat. And that lasts for 1 minute per level. You might say it's useful as a way to warm up, help the party warm up without giving off too much light to let the enemy know where you're at. It's one use for it. A burning hands. They got you burning hand spell. It's a attack spell that causes jets of flame in a fan-like sheet to shoot out of your fingers. Shoots out 3 foot length in a horizontal arc at about 120 feet in front of the magic user. So any creature in the area takes 1 point of damage per level of the spellcaster with no save. And it can ignite, burnable objects: cloth, paper, parchment, wood, whatever. Trolls. That's one use for it, is against trolls. You got your charm person spell. Basically, You cast it and tell person what to do. Now there is certain limits on it, but things that give another saving throw, stuff like that. And the save against that will negate it outright. You have a spell to comprehend languages. Now you do have to touch the person that you're trying to understand, or to touch the book you're trying to read, whatever. You have a spell to detect magic. An enlarge spell. You can cause a target to increase in size. But this is for a living creature. Well, actually, it can be used either way, but you can do it on a living creature. So, you got a person, you'll make them bigger. They're going to hit a little bit harder. But, a weapon, you can make it bigger. But one use of it, for inanimate objects is, barricade. Trying to block a door. Put a table in front of it, cast a spell. It's now heavier. Harder for them to move out of the way. Chains be thicker. Doors be thicker. You can turn just a thin line of wire into a rope. And there's also a reduce spell, which has the opposite effects, obviously. And if you have a warped and demented dungeon master, and you're an equally warped and demented player, there's other uses for this that, if you get a mage cast it a lot and is getting up there in experience points, you might allow them to tweak the spell a little bit and only enlarge portions of the target or reduce. I'll leave that to your imagination. Erase. You can erase writings or drawings, whatever. The feather fall. That you're falling off a cliff, you cast the feather fall to slow your rate of descent. This way you don't go splat. Find familiar. You summon a familiar. Now it's not quite like it is in the newer games where you can just keep casting it over and over and summon it back. Get rid of your familiar and call it back and whatever. And you have no control over what kind of creature will appear. But some of the creatures can get very interesting. And if you're really lucky on the roll, you can get a special familiar that's based off of your alignment. A chaotic evil or chaotic neutral characters would get a Quasit. Chaotic good, neutral, or neutral good character would get a Pseudo Dragon. A lawful neutral or lawful good creature gets a Brownie. And a lawful evil or neutral evil character would get an Imp. And they do give different bonuses, and that's you'd have to talk to your DM on that particular thing. A hold portal. Basically, you can magically lock a door for a limited amount of time. identify spell. You use that to determine what kind of magic is on a weapon, an item. Um, the one of the best spells of a mage at first level, Magic Missile. There is no saving throw. It creates a missile that strikes unerringly, so there's no roll to hit. It does 1d4 plus 1 damage. Thing is, it actually creates one missile every 2 levels. So you have 1 at first level, 2 at third level, so on and so forth. There is a way to block them, but it is quite a powerful spell, and it takes very little time to cast it. Takes about 6 seconds to cast that spell. So, it can be, it's a lifesaver. Really, I think I've mentioned it before, but it was in a game and a party member was tried to fireball us in the middle of a boat in the middle of a lake, and I got my magic missile off before his fireball went off. Ruined his spell, and yeah, from there the party just demolished him. He never had a chance to make another move. I know fights, that have strong fight, strong monsters have been killed by magic missile. Just from a high level wizard being very lucky on the dice rolls. There's a let's see, the read magic spell. Now, pretty much every wizard is going to have that spell in their spell book from the beginning. It's kind of an important one. It allows you to read magical inscriptions on objects. It allows you to read scrolls. And then you'll know what's on the scroll. Now, after you've used that spell and read a scroll, whatever, you'll be able to read it anytime, that particular one. So, but you have some defensive magic at first level. The shield spell. That's one of the ways to block a magic missile. Though, especially at low level, a lot of mages are going to carry attack magic. They're not going to worry about wasting a spell, memorize spell with that. When you have a choice between a shield spell and an attack spell, and you have one spell you can memorize, what are you going to take? It provides the equivalent protection of AC 2 against hand-hurled missiles, so your axes, darts, javelins, spears, daggers, whatever. And armor 3 against small device-propelled missiles. Your arrows, bolts, sling bullets, manicore spikes, sling stones, etc. And if you're using firearms, bullets. And then armor class 4 against all other forms of attack. So it is beneficial. And it lasts 5 minutes per level. It also adds +1 to the saves versus attacks that are basically frontal. But everything only works against attacks originating from the front facing the magic user, where it can put itself in the way. You have a sleep spell. Again, very useful. Actually, when I play Dungeons and Dragons PC games, I do sleep spell for quite a while. There's no save, and it depends on the hit dice of the creature how many can be affected. A up to 1 hit die, you can do 4 to 16 creatures. 1 hit die to 1 or 1 just over or 1 plus 1, so 1 hit die plus 1 hit point. Up to a 2 hit die is 2 to 8 creatures. 2 plus 1 to 3, 1 to 4 creatures. 3 plus 1 to 4 is 1 or 2 creatures. And if they're a 4 plus 1 to a 4 plus 4, it might affect 1. That's roll a d4, and if it's a 3 or a 4, it works. And if someone is affected by that spell, you can slap them or wound them to awaken them. But just hollering at them ain't going to work. But to awaken, it takes a full round, so they're not going to jump up and attack. Now, sleeping characters can be slain automatically at a rate of 1 per slayer per round. So, you have a group asleep, your party walks over, they can just kill, one player can kill 1 creature outright each round. And frequently, you'll have at least detect magic and read magic as 2 of your starting spells. Most of the sources I've read recommend a minimum of 4 spells in the starting handbook or starting spell book. There's some decent second level. Trying to see if anything really jumps out. Well, there's the Stinking Cloud, which basically creates a cloud that can cause nausea, which causes penalties to the attack and I believe defense. But it can also make them, very sick where they're helpless. There's a mirror image spell, which creates mirror images, basically holograms of yourself. 1 to 4 duplicates. And they're going to do exactly what you're doing. So they shift around, so even if you're actually struck in 1 round, you're not going to be easy to pick out the next. They're still going to defend you. You have an invisibility spell, which is pretty obvious. The knock spell. That is going to be a real handy spell. It'll open stuck or held or wizard lock doors, barred doors, or locks. It can cause secret doors to open. And it can be used also on boxes or chests. Chains. If you don't have the key and you want to try to free somebody from shackles, there you go. Let's see. Wizard lock spell. You can cast it on a door or whatever. and it magically locks it, and it's going to stay locked until a Dispel Magic or a Knock Spell. Or if another magic user's four or more levels than you or higher, they can open it. But the knock and the mage opening it do not remove the wizard lock, just negates it for a brief time. In your third level spells, obviously that's where you get into your fireball. It does 1d6 per level of damage. And there's, it's one of mage's go-to, at least in most mages. But you also have like a gust of wind spell. You can create up to a 30-mile-per-hour wind gust. At least I think that's what it was. It doesn't specify in. It just says a strong puff of air, so it must be another source that actually said it was a 30-mile-per-hour wind gust. But that can be useful. Your haste spell, you can double the movement rate and double the attacks per round. But that does have a side effect of aging the target a year. Lumen's Tiny Hut. Basically, it lasts an hour per level, and you can create a hut to get in and out of the elements. The Lightning Bolt spell. It's great if your enemies are lined up, like in a hallway. Again, does 1d6 per level of damage. Save does half damage. Let's see. I'm just running through a few. A Protect from Normal Missiles spell that you can cast on yourself and be immune to just non-magical arrows, slings, spears, stuff like that. You have a water breathing spell, so you can breathe underwater. Tongues, where you can basically speak a language while it lasts. So, it just goes from there, and you get some great attack spells. You also get some great other uses. I'm going to skip a lot of these levels, but we're going to take it up to show you the potential of what it can become. Remember I said at 29th level you have 6 castings of 9th level spells. So we'll take it up here. You have the Astral spell, where you can enter the astral plane, same as a cleric. Gate, which allows you to gate in other dimensional beings. Imprisonment, you can trap somebody in suspended animation. The Meteor Swarm. It's very similar to a fireball. It casts 4 spheres or 8 spheres of half the diameter. Any creature in a straight line path of the missiles will receive full effect of the missiles without benefit of a save. They leave a fire trail of sparks, and each burst is a fireball. Large spheres do 10 to 40 points of damage. And it bursts in a diamond or box pattern. So it is possible for somebody to get hit with all 4 of them. There's overlapping areas of effect. The 8 spheres have do 5 to 20. Again, it's possible for 4 of them to hit the person in the middle. You have your power word kill. A very quick spell, no saving throw. If a character has 60 hit points or less, and that's current hit points, not max, they die. You can, it'll do 1 creature with up to 60 hit points, or 2 or more creatures with 10 or fewer hit points, up to a maximum of 120 hit points. So potentially you could kill 120 creatures, theoretically. Prismatic Sphere. They conjure up a globe shimmering multicolored spheres, light, that surround you to give protection from all forms of attack. There is ways to negate the spheres, but say somebody tries to get to you through those spheres, each color that still remains causes an effect. So once they breach it, you have Okay, now sorry, that was Prismatic Ray and Prismatic Wall. So yeah, I was in the wrong spell there, but the first sphere prevents all non-magical missiles. Oh, there it is, yeah. And if they try to breach it, it's by touch or whatever, 10 points of damage. So the second layer, which is orange, first layer is red, second layer is orange, and it prevents all magical missiles, and if they get through, it inflicts 20 points of damage. Yellow prevents poisons, gases, and petrification, and inflicts 40 points of damage. Green, which is the fourth, prevents all breath weapons, and they have to save versus poison or die. Blue prevents location detection and psionics, and they have to save versus petrification or be turned to stone. Indigo prevents all magic spells, and they have to save versus wander or go insane. And the seventh is a force field protection, save versus magic, or be sent to another plane. So, a Rada cancellation will destroy a prismatic sphere. So, any inanimate objects entering it are going to be destroyed. Any person is subject to the effect of each and every globe. So, if everything's there, that's 70 points of damage, plus possible death, petrification, insanity, and or instantaneous transportation to another plane. And only the transportation, insanity, petrification, and death have a saving throw. Now, it is possible to go color by color to destroy them, but they have to be done in consecutive order. And to do it, the red requires a Cone of Cold spell, orange is a Gust of Wind, yellow is Disintegrate, green is Pass Wall, blue is Magic Missile, indigo is a Continual Light, and then violet is a Dispel Magic. So it takes a lot of spells to do it. There's a time stop spell where you basically stop time for everybody but you. The wizard can move and act freely within the area where the time is stopped. And it lasts half. Let's see, about 3 seconds per level, plus up to 48 more seconds. But in the area, it has the same. Trying to remember. It's another. Again, it was another source, but I think it works out to like 3 rounds that you inside the sphere. You also have the most powerful spell around, the Wish. This is the spell that is the most dangerous and the most powerful. When it's cast, you automatically age 5 years. It can be used to alter reality. You can wish for items. You can wish to escape situations. Though there is a warning, the exact terminology of the spell is likely to be carried out. So depending on how cruel your DM is feeling, bad things can happen. And usually do. An example they have on here is as wishing another character dead, so another one of your party members, so to speak, would be grossly unfair. Your DM might just advance you into the future where that subject is no longer alive, putting you out of the game. Trying to think the one how it worked. It was this one was actually I did, not with the spell, but with a wishing ring, because the character I was using could not cast wish spell. Without thinking, while wearing a ring of wishes, I wished that the other character would drop in on us. So he did. From about 150 feet in the air. It was a one-shot campaign or game, and we were just horsing around anyways. But yeah, the character kind of splatted on top of me, which killed me in the process. I broke his fall. So it is one that you got to be really careful, and it'll usually be judged in a cruel way. It's like you wish for $1 million, and all of a sudden 1 million deer appear. It's you got to be really careful with the wording of a wish spell. But that kind of gives you an idea of the mage, and why it's a favorite of a lot of people. Sometime I might have to do a video where I get with another player of mine that's mainly what he plays is a mage. He's got a very high level mage that enjoys finding unusual solutions to problems. And so, but with that, I'm going to say thank you for tuning in. If you enjoy my content, please leave a like. If you haven't already subscribed, tell your friends. They may enjoy my content. And as always, leave me a comment. I do enjoy hearing from y'all. Thank you all for joining me. Have a great time. Bye.